There are 6 rookies on the grid this year. They've got various levels of cars to navigate that first season. Who do you think will come out on top? I suppose Liam Lawson and Kimi Antonelli are the two that have the best equipment on paper.
Yeah, look, I think if I would have to put my money on someone, it would probably be Liam Lawson.
The rookie battle is heating up, but one driver has the edge. Watch this to find out who.
He's obviously had some time in the RB with, 11 races already. So under his belt, he's coming in with experience. So I think he would be the no-brainer to go behind in a Red Bull with some experience. I think Liam will do very well. But let's not count out Antonelli. Antonelli is obviously a driver who's coming in with a lot less experience, but seems to be the wonder kid that Mercedes are willing to take a gamble on.
Liam's time in the RB is an advantage, but stepping into a full-time seat is a whole different challenge. Max proved early on that talent needs consistency. If Liam wants to be taken seriously, he'll need to deliver results fast.
So let's watch his development throughout the year. I think he's got a lot of potential, but it might just take him a little bit longer to get up there.
And the biggest drama last year on track was Max Verstappen versus Lando Norris. I mean, really controversial incidents. Might that dynamic be different this year? Was it in part created because Max had that big points advantage, so he could maybe put himself in risky situations, which he knew Lando couldn't?
Yeah, totally. Lando was definitely the chaser in the situation. He had more to lose, and essentially he couldn't take as big a risk because every point really counted for him to close that gap.
Max has always been aggressive, but last year's battles with Lando weren't just about a points gap. They were about control. He dictated the terms of engagement, forcing Lando into defensive driving rather than attacking. If McLaren is genuinely a title contender this year, Lando will need to flip that script, because Max will come at him even harder, and hesitation will cost him valuable points.
Whereas Max came out the gates last year testing, we were talking about how rapid that Red Bull was yet again. He managed to build up that bit of a buffer, which this year doesn't seem like it's going to be the case. Coming out of testing, it feels like McLaren have a clear gap to the others. Of course, things can change in a couple of weeks. New parts might be put on cars, but coming out of testing, McLaren seem to have the upper hand, and therefore either we see them going head-to-head right from the beginning on an even playing field, or we just see that McLaren starting to build a gap while the others play catch-up.
Yeah, listen, there was a bit of controversy around British bias. That's what Max perceived. Perhaps the British media had against him and maybe in favour of Lando. Those incidents last year, were replayed and replayed over and over again. Should we still recognise the great achievement that Max did, winning a championship without the quickest car? Is he going to have to do the same thing again this year, do you sense, if he's to win it?
Well, first of all, I think his efforts are always recognised. I don't think there's any doubt ever about the magic that Max creates when he's in a race car. He's got a supernatural talent, and I think he got so much out of that Red Bull that wasn't even there.
People forget that Max has been in this position before, winning races and championships even when Red Bull wasn't dominant. Testing is one thing, but race conditions are a different beast. When it comes to consistency, adaptability, and racecraft, Verstappen is still the standard. And if McLaren wants to dethrone him, they'll need more than just a strong preseason.
He drew every little second out of that car, every little millisecond out of it, and really put on a performance that was truly super respectable. But of course, this year is going to be different. I think this year they're going to probably be
no Adrian Newey, for example.
No Adrian Newey, for example. Although Adrian's going to be working very hard at Aston to get that car a little bit quicker, but it's going to be a different playing field starting off the season for sure.
Okay, I mean, can I get an early prediction for you? Is there how many drivers do you think might be involved? I mean, it might be a driver could win the title maybe with 5 wins this year or something like that. It could be a scenario.
Completely. We saw so many different race winners last year. We were so spoiled for choice and so many wonderful storylines. I don't think this year is going to be any worse. I think it's going to be bigger and better. It's inevitably going to get tighter. I'd like to say we have 3 teams fighting it out for both the constructors and the drivers.
Last season gave us multiple race winners, but when it mattered most, one driver was always in control. A tighter title fight might mean more drama, but Max's ability to stay composed in high-pressure situations is what separates him from the rest. If anyone can adapt to a changing F1 landscape, it's him.
How about that?
Is that the
That's
top
a very
four
early prediction.
minus Mercedes? Do you think they might just be a level below? Or
No,
you
no,
think-
I include Mercedes in that.
Who have you eliminated then?
Well, look, yeah, it's difficult.
It's difficult,
because I
isn't it?
don't
Yeah,
think
yeah.
the Red Bulls quite maybe got the pace of the McLaren and the Ferrari and the Mercedes. But of course, when you put Max in the car, a lot of things are possible. So Max might be the factor that changes that away.
Plus Max.
Three
Okay.
teams plus
Fair
one.
enough. What about Max Verstappen, though? Is Hamilton likely to have a better car than Max this year? This is the first Red Bull Max will have driven that doesn't have Adrian Newey's fingerprints on it.
Mercedes may be back in the mix, but even if Hamilton has a stronger car, Max's consistency and adaptability make him a bigger threat. A tighter championship fight could bring out the best in him, and history shows that's when he's most dangerous.
Well, we'll have to wait and see. It looked okay in Bahrain at the test. They were saying that they fixed a lot of last year's problems, but we also saw Max out on track, shaking his head once and spinning up the wheels. He was angry because the car went around on him. So I didn't sense it was exactly glued to the racetrack either, but they were pretty tricky conditions in that pre-season test. So we're expecting, for me, Max starts the season as the favourite because he'll be clear number one in that team. And Red Bull should have fixed it. And he's so fast, he's so good. He knows how to win multiple world championships. So does Lewis. His main rivals don't yet know how to win any Formula One world championships in Charles, Lando, George, for example, Oscar Piastri too. So I think Max should start the season. And whoever wins this year's world championship will win a blinding championship.
Yeah. Will Max race the same way he raced last year? Do you expect any different, even if they have these directives changing the racing rules? Despite the criticism he got for the incidents in Texas and Mexico against Lando?
Even with new directives, Max will race with the same intensity that's made him dominant. If anything, past criticism has only fueled his determination. His rivals may be getting closer, but he won't hand them anything easily.
No, he'll race exactly the same. That's how he's hardwired. That's why he's a four-time world champion. We saw it against Lewis. We've seen it more recently against Lando. The more tense the championship gets, the more aggressive Max drives. And he's so clever. He's skillful enough to place the car. He knows the regulations inside out. And he's overly aggressive sometimes, but makes it work for him.
Okay, well, yeah, this is the kind of thing we were talking about there. But I mean, that was very much in the public eye.
And Liam Lawson, I think, got a strong enough head to be able to cope with Max Verstappen. He'll, as long as he can see Verstappen's gearbox on the grid and rear wing in the distance at the end of the race, he'll have done a brilliant job.
Okay, finally and briefly, Martin, how many of these guys will contend for the title? Just give us a number.
There will be 4 contending for the title and 6 of them winning races. I hate guessing, you know that. I'm about content and knowledge.
Absolutely right, yes. Well, we'll look forward to you describing the season for us as it progresses.
If there's one constant in Formula One, it's that Max Verstappen never compromises his style. He thrives in aggressive battles, knows when to push the limits, and isn't afraid to make bold moves when it matters most. With Red Bull potentially facing stiffer competition this year, his ability to outthink and outmaneuver rivals will be key. He's not just quick, he's mentally relentless, a trait that has defined his dominance in recent seasons. Whether it's a 3-way title fight or an unpredictable battle, Max remains the driver to beat.